Joining us now here at the JNS conference in Jerusalem is Colonel Richard Kemp. Shalom.
Very nice to be here with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, as we're speaking here today, the war is continuing in a different format. Sometimes people are questioning what exactly is going on. How do you look at the situation today in terms of the war against Hamas, against terror?
I think Hamas is now feeling a significant amount of the weight of the IDF on it. And the only reason it's not feeling even more is because the IDF has to be cautious about the hostages. But at the same time, they're making mincemeat of Hamas. And most of Hamas's most senior leadership has been destroyed. Huge numbers of their terrorists have been destroyed, a lot of their equipment. So I think they're very much on the back foot. And I would hope that Hamas will be completely eliminated as a fighting organization within perhaps a few weeks.
The question is, what's the actual goal? How do you reach what the Prime Minister defines as a total victory?
Well, a total victory goes even beyond dealing with the terrorists and with their weapons and with their tunnels. Of course, you can do all of that. It takes a lot of time. Dealing with 400 miles of tunnels underneath Gaza is a long-term project, but the Hamas can be certainly neutralized by sheer military force and then prevented from rising again by a long-term security presence in Gaza. And I think what I would define as total victory in Gaza is retrieving the hostages, all of the hostages, would be, and I'm not saying that's going to be 100% possible, but every effort needs to be made to do that. Secondly is to eliminate Hamas as a terrorist entity that's capable of threatening Israel. And thirdly, preventing anything like Hamas rising again in Gaza.
And the question is the world, because the world looks, and some say that even from October 8th, the world was against us. Should Israel look at the world, take it into account, or just continue without even looking at what is said on, the world media and, of course, authorities around the world?
Well, Israel doesn't really have to do anything differently in order to do what the world wants it to do, which is to fight within the laws of war. Israel's been doing that ever since the beginning and will continue to do so.
But you hear the lies.
Of course, there's nothing but lies, distortions, which have been going on not just since the war began, but long before the war began against Israel. And yes, of course, Israel has to try and do what it can, and Israel's friends have to try and do what they can to counter the lies. And the world can't be just ignored, because Israel depends on the world for numerous things, including, in some cases, weaponry, including particularly from the US and from Germany, from Italy, from the UK to an extent. So Israel has to maintain the relationships, not to mention, of course, Israel's dependence on international trade. So yes, Israel has to do what it can to try and influence political leaders around the world, and also, of course, has to fight back against the legal warfare that's taking place with the disgraceful efforts by the International Criminal Court to arrest the Prime Minister and the former Defense Minister, and the even more disgraceful attempts by the International Court of Justice to brand Israel as a genocidal state.
And last but not least, Iran. Are you disappointed from what you're hearing now from the United States? Negotiations first. We have to look into that option of peace deals or treaties.
I think it's a reasonable position for the President of the US to take, to try negotiation first before going into what is going to be a very violent attack if it happens on Iran's nuclear capabilities. So I think it's reasonable to try that. I don't think it's likely to work. And even if you do have some deal with Iran, it's not worth the paper it's printed on. There is no negotiating with jihadists. So ultimately, I think whatever happens on the diplomatic front, I think there's going to have to be a military attack against the Iranian nuclear program.
Okay, Colonel Richard Kemp, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.